the latest edition of Chalk Talk from the Denver Pioneers. We got the countdown into this week's episode from our executive producer, I guess, sports information director, Chris Smith. As my name is Tyler Vaughn, joined by the head coach of Pioneer Men's Hoops, Jeff Wulbrun, as March Madness has arrived. We're recording this on March 3rd. We're headed to Sioux Falls tomorrow for the Summit League basketball tournament. And Coach, I'm excited. I got a chance to be at practice today. The energy was awesome. Your guys seem very excited. Less than 24 hours from arrival in Sioux Falls. How you feeling?
I'm excited. I'm really excited. Be playing in postseason, and like I told the guys on Monday, man, let's make some magic happen.
Your guys are playing really good ball at the end of the season, and getting to the finish line playing strong is always a challenge. And for your guys to have done it over the last two games, I know you feel like you should be going into this on a 3-game winning streak, took a tough loss to Omaha, but a lot of teams would fold after a tough loss. And your guys instead responded with arguably their two best offensive performances of the season. To be stepping into postseason play now, coming off of 2 games that went that well. Tell us just how proud you were of your guys for the way they responded after that Omaha game.
You make a great point, Tyler. That was a gut punch and a real heartbreaker against Omaha. And, teams of lesser character, honestly, that's enough to make them pack their bags. And it's so reflective of who we are that we have a setback that is a real heartbreaker, like the Omaha game where you lose at the buzzer. We lose a lead down the stretch. And we gave them a couple of days off. We get together, and last week we talked about our goals. Let's make some changes in terms of let's make sure we're the hardest playing team. Every night we step on the floor. Every day we step between those lines. And let's play our best ball of the season down the stretch. And we had a couple of great days of preparation last week. And then we go out on the road and we get a road sweep, which hasn't happened here, often. And, we're not where we want the program to be, but at the same time, we are making significant progress. And, you have to recognize that progress. And the guys in the program are here because they wanted to make significant progress, and they wanted to bring this program to a level that it hadn't been at in a long time, and eventually maybe to a level that it had never been at. So we're doing that. The 7 conference wins for us represent the win total in conference over the last 3 years combined. The 11 victories are certainly a step in the right direction in our first year. And it's just, it's interesting. The first thing you look to build is the culture. And our culture is made up, as I've said to you so many times, of really high character young men, high integrity young people who chase excellence in all they do. And, these are kids that when they faced adversity, they became very resilient and they got tougher. And I think the coolest thing, Tyler, is that we have just kept improving. You can make a very good argument that our 2 best games of the season were the last 2 games we played on the road. And that's really an area that I'm really proud of, that our guys have been so resilient. And as I've said all season long, man, they bring their lunchbox and their hard hat to practice every day. And they're willing to be coached, and there's a willingness to get better and improve as a team, individually, collectively. And we've got to continue that, because we had 2 great efforts on the road last week for sure.
Coach, when you are coming down to the wire and your guys are playing well, the conference tournament always provides a different challenge, because you're going as the 7th seed in the Pioneers preseason. We're picked to finish 9th in this league. So you finished 7th, already exceeds some of the expectations.
6th.
Or finish 6th, finish tied for 6th. Yes, correct. And with all the Summit League machinations and everything, you get matched up with North Dakota State for a 3rd matchup against a team in a calendar year, in a season. We talked during the weekly show this week about how difficult it is to beat a team 3 times in the same year. North Dakota State's gotten the better of you twice, but the steps you took from game 1 to game 2 were substantial. Right. Now going into game 3, what stands out most to you about what your guys need to be able to do against the Bison?
Yep. Well, I think a couple components there, Tyler. One, that how happy I am that the team has continued to improve as the season has gone on. Our offensive numbers were off the charts in the last 2 games. And then I think as a coaching staff, Tyler, we take pride in being able to scout and make adjustments from game to game. In the first game against North Dakota State, they had their way with us at home. And in our second game, we made some adjustments. And I think, quite honestly, our guys developed a little bit of confidence between the first game and the second game. We had some success, and we went in and we competed our tails off at North Dakota State. It was a 2-point game with about 2 minutes to play. And as an experienced veteran team like they are, they made the plays down the stretch to win, but certainly gave us confidence that, with 2 minutes to go, it was a 2-point game at North Dakota State. And, we talk all season about being physical and being tough and providing resistance. And North Dakota State, probably along with South Dakota State, maybe the two most physical teams in the conference.
Yeah.
They have really big guards. They're strong. They look for mismatches and they post you up on those. And but we provided the resistance and the toughness in the last game. So that's a step in the right direction, certainly. And quite honestly, it was a step for our program to continue to make progress in the second half of the season by doing those things. So we've made a few tweaks in our approach and our game plan, and they're a really talented team, Tyler. Rocky Cruiser, my goodness, I've only been watching him this year, but what a talented player at his size to stand out on the perimeter and knock threes down at a high percentage, to be a great back to the basket player, great offensive rebounder, player at his size who can take you off the bounce and attack the hole. And Nelson is the same thing. I mean, how about those two bookends?
Yeah.
And now Morgan is coming off the bench, another 6'10" guy. So, they have, they've had a program with continuity that has had success over the years. And they have a battle-tested veteran team this year that provides a lot of problems. Griesel is as good of a floor leader, I think, as there is in the conference. If I'm not mistaken, a first-team all-conference player this year, along with Cruiser. So very, very talented team. And we'll have our work cut out for us. But at the same time, man, it's exciting. And, you have to let your situation play for you. And what I mean by that is, I've been in these situations when you're in a 1-bid league and you're a 1 or 2 seed. Honestly, Tyler, your success will be defined by whether or not you can win 3 games in 4 days.
Right.
And for the 1 and 2 seeds in our conference, that's what the goal was, I'm sure. And that's what they need to do. From our situation, we've enjoyed some nice progress this season. We've moved the program along. I think the guys feel very good about it. In terms of where we're headed. We've had young players, really have great seasons and provide us with a ton of optimism and enthusiasm for the future. We are free and loose and playing easy, and we're having fun, man. I mean, the guys have been so close, and the camaraderie and the chemistry has been so great throughout the season. We don't want to stop playing. And, as we headed in last week, we said, our time is winding down, and you enjoy each other so much, man. Let's keep this going and play for each other. And in the 2 games that we just came from, we were definitely, in my opinion, the hardest playing teams for 40 minutes. And in both games, almost led from wire to wire. So just a lot of positives for the program right now and the way we played last week.
And now you get a big opportunity coming up this weekend. And, I said on the weekly show earlier this week, I wish that we had an hour instead of a half hour for the radio show, because we had so much to talk about. And obviously our talks are a little bit swifter than that. So I'm going to wrap up with one more question. You get a chance to get into postseason play this week for the first time as a head coach in D1 hoops. And you take a team that was, like I said, picked preseason to finish 9th. You finish 6th. You get the 7 seed. You're playing with house money going against the 2 seed. But this group has meant a lot to you. And I know, looking over your shoulder, I see the ball from the Regis game, your first win as a head coach. And when you think back to that day in November and where you are right now, obviously you'll get a chance over the coming weeks and months to think about this in a little bit more detail. But what has this team meant to you, your first team here at DU as a head coach?
I've always said, even when the seasons end up in the NCAA tournament, and success in the NCAA tournament. And the prize is the journey, not necessarily the destination. And oftentimes you end up at a pretty nice destination, and that's the goal. But, years from now, it's the journey that you took with the young men in your program and the assistant coaches and your staff. And that journey will be special. This season will be special. A common denominator for all of us is how we ended here and how we ended up here. And the common denominator was we came here to make a difference. The challenge of building the program appealed to me to the point that, I came here as a head coach, left a nice job at Stanford to do something really special. And that same draw, that same appeal was the reason that we brought in 9 new players. And some of them were young, some of them had other stops and were transfers. And yet we all wanted to raise the level of the program this season. And from in a lot of ways, that certainly has been a success. And we've done it the right way. We've done it with good people. And, one thing that I tell all my players, and this has always been the case, Tyler, this relationship is never over when the ball stops bouncing. And for the guys who don't play beyond this year for Denver, I hope that I'll be at their weddings. I hope that I see them mature into great husbands and great fathers. And I hope I'm included in their lives along the way. And that's the prize, man. That is it, man. The journey is special. And then to build that relationship over the years is the best part of coaching, in my opinion.
And the journey not done for this team yet, as the Pioneers are on the road this weekend in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for the Summit League tournament. The head coach of the Pioneers, Jeff Wulbrun, our final Chalk Talk coach. It's been so much fun doing this all season with you, and obviously very excited for this weekend to get a chance to be there in Sioux Falls. And we'll see you not too bright and early, but we'll see you tomorrow for the flight.
Great. We're excited. Can't wait for the tournament to start. Thanks, Tyler.
Wrapping up this edition. We'll talk to you next time for Chalk Talk from the Denver Pioneers.